In severe cold and cold regions, the index of heat loss of heating buildings is the basis for judging the thermal performance of the envelope structure, and it is also an important index for evaluating the energy-saving design of heating buildings. The index of heat loss of building refers to the heat consumed by the unit building area per unit time and provided by the indoor heating equipment in order to maintain the indoor calculated temperature in the heating building under the condition of the average outdoor temperature during the heating period. This indicator consists of heat loss through heat transfer through the building envelope and air infiltration through gaps indoors and windows, excluding the heat gain of personal equipment, lighting, and cooking inside the building. It must be less than the specified value of the energy-saving design standard for residential buildings in severe cold and cold regions. This is the formula for calculating the heat transfer, heat consumption per unit building area through the building envelope. The correction of the heat transfer coefficient of the envelope structure is to consider the influence of the solar radiation and sky radiation on the envelope structure in different regions and different orientations, so that the heat transfer through the enclosure structure per unit area will change in unit time when the air temperature on both sides is also 1 degree. For the partition walls and doors of unheated stairwells, the partition walls and doors and windows of unheated balconies, the upper floors of unheated space, expansion joint walls, settlement joints, and seismic joints, the temperature difference correction coefficient N is used instead. Take one for the ground touching the soil. This is the calculation formula of air infiltration heat consumption per unit building area. Building heating coal consumption refers to the standard coal consumption per unit building area in a heating period in order to maintain indoor calculated temperature under the condition of average outdoor temperature during heating period. The indicator is used to measure whether the building meets the requirements of energy-saving standards or to calculate the specific effectiveness of coal savings. Next, let's do an exercise. Please calculate the heat consumption and heating coal consumption index of a 3-unit, 6-story building in Hohhot with floor height of 2.7 meters, north-south orientation, double-layer plastic steel windows, and stairwell heating. It is known that the number of days in the heating period is equal to 166. TE is equal to minus 6.2 degrees Celsius. The degree days of heating period is 4,017. The building area is equal to 3,139.1 square meters. The building value is equal to 8,789.4 cubic meters. The external surface area is equal to 2,785.9 square meters. The slip coefficient is equal to 0.317, and the ventilation value is equal to 0.65 multiplied by the building value 8,789.4 equal to 5,713.1 cubic meters, and the sum of the products of the effective heat transfer coefficient and the heat transfer area of the outer envelope equals 1,623.01. The solution to this problem is as follows. The first step is to calculate the heat transfer heat consumption of the unit building area through the envelope structure, according to the indoor temperature of the residential building of certain degrees Celsius, plus the outer calculation temperature of 6.2 degrees Celsius, and then multiplied by the sum of the product of the effective heat transfer coefficient and the heat transfer area of the outer envelope structure, which is 1,623.01, divided by the building area, 3,139.1. The calculated result is 11.48. The second step is to find the density of the outdoor air at minus 6.2 degrees Celsius to be 1.323. The third step is to calculate the air infiltration heat consumption per unit building area. The calculated result is 7.48. The fourth step is to calculate the index of heat loss of a building. The calculated result is 15.16. The fifth step is to calculate the building heating coal consumption. The calculated result is 12.12. Finally, according to the local energy saving standards for multi-story residential buildings, with 65%, the index of heat loss of building QH 16.3, the heating coal consumption index QC 12.8, compared with the calculation results, can meet the requirements of energy saving 65%. You can use these two indicators to measure whether your architectural design works, meet the requirements of energy conservation standards, and can also test school buildings and home buildings.